All right. Good morning, Marcel.
Right. Good morning, James. I think we're live. I hope we're live. And to everyone who's busy joining, welcome to the NCC International Pre-Foundation University discussion. I'm going to be chatting to James Whittaker, who's our head of academics, on the program. So, James, how's it looking in the UK today?
It's looking rather grim, as one would predict. It has been decent weather, but we've been subjected to storms and fences are blowing over and all sorts. So not great, and hoping for better. Is it okay where you are in South Africa?
Yeah, we spent a wonderful week in Hermanus this week. It's one of the top whale watching destinations. So the weather was inclement, but we still saw whales, so that was amazing. Okay, so let's begin. I think people have had a minute or two to join. James, if you want to pop up your slides. So before I actually introduce James, we're going to have a brief. I just want to briefly introduce NCC Education. Not everybody necessarily knows about NCC Education. So that's our topic today, the Level 3 Foundation Diploma. I like to think of it as a bridging foundation. It's the bridge between school and university, and James will chat more about that. And we have a lovely little strapline, a little motto, that is educate, inspire, and grow. Because not only does NCC want to educate people, we want people to feel inspired and then to help other people grow in their lives and their careers. Because at the end of the day, we live in communities. Okay, next. So NCC Education started in the 70s. So we've been, in the 60s. We've actually been around for quite some time, and we started as a UK government body. It was during the white heat of kind of the IT sort of stuff that was starting to happen around the world. And that's how NCC started, National Computing Centre. Since then, we've become privatized, and we developed our first UK partnerships with universities in the 1990s. And in fact, the International Foundation year that we are going to chat about today was actually started in the early 2000s. So it's been around a long time. Okay, next. Our global network, we have over 170 partners around the world, and we have students from all over the world. We can't see today where you are from, but certainly from an NCC perspective, there are people on the call from myself in Cape Town in South Africa, James in the UK, we have Shitl online from the Netherlands, we have people from Singapore, we have people from Malaysia, and I'm sure all of you are all over the world as well, just as our centers are as well. Okay, next one there, James. So we're going to move on to the qualification overview, and I'd like James to take over from here on in. If you have any questions, we're happy to address them. We can't, I think we can see some of the questions, but I'll also ask James one or two questions as they come up, and then we'll have a question and answer session for you at the end. So please feel free to type it into the chat box and let us know your thoughts. Over to you, James.
Thank you, Marcel. Yes, thank you for the introduction, and very happy to talk to you all today. I hope you learn a lot about the session, the course, and as Marcel said, if you have any questions, please just type them into the chat box. Okay, so as Marcel was talking about, she refers to this course as a bridging course to a degree, and that's exactly what it is. So it essentially is for students in high school overseas, whereby universities sometimes do not see their graduation from high school as sufficient to get onto the first year of a degree course. And this is where the NCC International Foundation Diploma bridges that gap. And it does this in many ways. So first of all, linguistically. So English language is obviously a huge part of getting onto a degree course, with many universities insisting on scores in IELTS, such as IELTS 6 or for higher ranking universities, 6.5. And this course will take you from a lower level of IELTS 4.5 up to that entry requirement, okay, because English language is a large part of the course.
So, James, James, how old should a student be, or how old are they allowed to be in order to enter onto this program?
Well, the stipulation is just that they successfully complete high school. So it depends on the country. Sometimes that is 17, sometimes that is 18. But my advice would be to check with, I'll talk about where you can find your closest centres a bit later. And we can work with those centres and you to see if your qualifications are enough to get onto the course. But it is all about just graduation from high school, secondary school. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So it also improves students academically. So rather than just English language, even for native English language speakers, some of the skills that you learn on the course are going to be critical for your studies in university, such as how to construct paragraphs and essays, because this is going to be a large part of your assessment in university, writing reports, writing essays, the critical analysis of theories, etc. And these are the skills that you're going to learn, as well as the study skills that you will need in a UK university. Talking about my experience when I went, even from a UK background, the largest shock, I think, was the plummet in face-to-face time that you have with the teacher and the emphasis that you will have on studying yourself. And you will learn some of the skills in how to do your own research and research for assignments during this course.
So sometimes I hear students say to me, I'm a native English language speaker, or I'm very fluent in English. I really don't see any need to do this type of bridging program. But based on what you're saying, James, it sounds like this is actually critical and teaches far more skills than just doing English language.
Of course, as I mentioned, these are skills I had to learn, even though I'm born and bred in England. I had to learn how to reference properly so I wouldn't be penalized for any plagiarism. I had to learn how to write a report and how to write essays correctly. And this will not only get you into universities, but it will make sure that you have all the skills that when there to succeed in actually doing well on that course, because the last thing you want is to get into university and then you start learning all these skills, because that's going to impact on your first year and your second year and then your final results.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Okay. And then the last one really is culturally. So there is a unit about culture studies, and it's all about preparing you for going to live abroad. This is obviously a huge part of it as well. You have to think about your studies, but also moving across borders into different countries with cultures very different from your own is a huge challenge. And I have lived abroad for many years, and even basic things like paying your bills, going shopping, they all become a little bit harder in a way. So this will prepare you better for that. If you are experiencing things like culture shock, I'm not going to say it's going to cure that, but it's going to make you aware of what's going on, and then you can better deal with that. Because we want you to succeed in this program and focus on your studies and not have to worry about the other elements, okay, when you're there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so mentioned entry requirements a second ago. So first of all, yes, successful completion of secondary school, but also IELTS 4.5. Okay, and I realize that IELTS is an expensive exam, and what our partner centres have around the world is access to our standard English placement test, which is completely free. So if you are in any doubt about your English language level, or if it's enough to get onto this course, you can go to those centres and they will be able to run through this test with you at that moment, and you will get a result which will tell you if you are able to get onto this course or there is some extra English work needed. Okay.
Right. Excellent. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit about the qualification structure. Okay, and the first thing to point out is that there are each student will need to pass 8 units. Okay, and 6 of the units are core, and these are developing English language skills, and this is really to get students' English language foundations up quickly. This is the one which will take students from IELTS 4.5 up to a level of around IELTS 5.5. And from there, they will progress on to advanced English language skills, which takes them from IELTS 5.5 up to 6 and above, which is what is required for UK visas and to get into entry to the UK universities and also other universities around the world. We have culture studies, which I mentioned a second ago, which will give you the information and the tools on how to deal with life in different cultures. Studying communication skills is about how to actually study in a different setting. Of course, the education systems around the world are very different, and this will give you the tools you need to study in a UK university. So being able to research independently, being able to take notes effectively during lectures, how to give presentations, because that will be maybe a different form of assessment that you have come up against in the past, but will be an important part of your studies in university. Foundation mathematics. So universities will require this a lot of the time, where basic mathematical skills are required and expected. And then English for academic purposes. So this is the unit I was referencing earlier in terms of it's going to instruct you in how to actually write essays and reports. So it's building on those English language skills where you're improving your vocabulary, your grammar, your coherence, etc. And you're taking those skills and putting them into longer pieces of work, such as fully fledged essays, where you will be referencing these as well. And that skill can't be overlooked. That's something that we have all had to come up against in university, being able to reference correctly so that you are not accused or then even worse penalized for any plagiarism. Okay, because plagiarism, it can be intentional, but even if you don't mean to, if it's completely unintentional, the penalty will be the same. Okay, and the university.
Severe. It's very severe.
It's very severe. You can fail the unit. You'll have to repeat it, and then that's impacting on later studies, etc. And you will always have that mark against your name at the university if there's any questions that come up about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So those are the 6 core units which all students will take. And then we have our elective units. So these are the other 2 units you will take, and these are based on different streams. Okay, so the first one is a business stream, and we have 2 units here called Introduction to Business, where you will have a broad overview of business studies, and you will talk about operations, marketing, different types of business, but also Introduction to Accounting and Economics, which will take you through the basics of how to complete balance sheets, etc. Computing with Introduction to Computer Science and Programming. Engineering, where you will have further mathematics and physics. We have a health stream where you have chemistry and biology. But then also we have a further 2 streams. So the first is chemical engineering, and you'll see that there is a repeat of units here, but the mix is different. So you can it enables you to go on to different courses at university in chemical engineering. And this is made of further maths and chemistry. And then we have higher finance, which is further maths and Introduction to Accounting and Economics. Okay.
So James, for a student who particularly, for instance, has an interest in a health career and they're in a country that maybe their center doesn't offer those electives, is there anything that can be done about that? Or how do centers go about choosing the kind of electives they want to offer their students in a marketplace?
Well, I think that comes down to the number of students who want to study them. So if you are near a centre and you find that they are not offering the electives that you perhaps are interested in, I would go on and have that conversation with the centre to see if there's a possibility of them offering that.
Extra elective, yeah. Thanks.
I think it all comes down to that conversation, and if they find that yes, it's worth doing, and it's something that they can offer, they have the expertise in their centre to offer it, then I'm sure they can go about that.
Great. And what about if a student takes a subject, say they feel like they're like not great at maths or something, and they take a subject and they happen to fail? Hopefully they don't, but they happen to fail. What happens in a situation like that?
Okay, so if a student fails any assessment, then they can resit. Okay, so we have 4 assessment cycles in the year. So we have assessment cycles in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And let's say, for example, you do fail any assessment in spring, then you can resit it then in summer. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, and for students who successfully pass, okay, all the 8 units, we're going to talk about university progression. So, of course, we have progression arrangements with over 70 universities worldwide, and these are mainly in the UK, but also a growing number in Australia, USA, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and even other countries now, such as Malaysia, where our partner centres are informing us of students wanting to progress locally. And that's something that we can arrange, and we can talk to local universities in that country about progression arrangements. Okay. So in the UK, they can apply through a system called UCAS, which is University Application Service. Or typically what I find, centres will help students apply directly through each university's international office. Okay. And another option is we have our own level 4 diplomas. So to explain level 4 is equivalent to the first year of university. And our partner centres around the world will also offer courses such as our level 4 and even level 5. And graduates of this course can progress onto that. And I mentioned a second ago that, yes, we have TNE programs such as with the University of London, where students can progress, or Bangor, or the accounting qualification ACCA, and students can progress onto those courses as well.
Perfect.
Okay, and these are some of the universities that we have progression arrangements with, and our universities have gone, our graduates have gone to. It's not a list of all of them, because I was writing it and I found that I just had a page full of words, so I just took some of the examples. But if you do go to our website, you should be able to find a progression handbook, and this lists all of the universities we have arrangements with, and it will also stipulate which degree courses you can enter based on the electives that you take and your results. Okay.
And it's a really nice selection now, James. I see every week we're having more and more progression options popping up in our emails announcing new progressions. So it really is an ongoing and a wonderful opportunity for students.
Yes, it is. As you mentioned, we have a fantastic partnerships team who works very closely with universities to confirm these arrangements. And as you mentioned, I said over 70, we might be on over 80 now, because yes, it seems that every week there is a new progression arrangement to a different university in various countries. So yeah, it's always growing. So the options are endless. And besides that, while we have these progression arrangements, that shouldn't be seen as a limiting factor, because I have known students, when I visit centres, to apply for universities who are not on our progression booklet. We don't have an arrangement with them, but they can still apply and they still successfully get places there. So I think that's just dealt with on a case-by-case basis, and that's done through a conversation with that university. So sending all the details of the course and any results that the student has, and any details of the courses that they are interested in, and then it's up to the university to give them an offer. But I have known students to progress to universities not on our list, and also courses that are not on our list. So I've known students to progress onto art courses or even drama courses, but I think that is a conversation that is needs to happen with the university.
Yeah.
Well, one question I've seen pop up was which universities are most popular. So in terms of that, I've seen that the University of Essex, University of York, University of Greenwich, these are all very popular universities. And even in Australia, Monash is a very popular university where students go to, and also CQ University as well. In terms of courses, I would say it's mainly business courses that the students are progressing onto. But engineering, which is a stream we only released 2 or 3 years ago now, is really growing in momentum. And a lot of students are progressing onto courses with the University of West of England for engineering and chemical engineering courses there.
Fantastic, yes.
Okay, I kept mentioning partner centers, and this is really who the courses run through. They are the ones delivering the course and running through you, preparing you for your assessments. So if you are interested in this course, I encourage you to go and visit one of them near you. And this is a map from our Find Your Nearest Center page on the NCC Education website. I've noted down the link here. So become a student, find your nearest center, and all these little dots, they are the ones where the centers are. So you'll see, yes, we have many across the world. And if you go onto this website, you will see that they will give you full contact details, the addresses, etc. for those centers. So please just pick up the phone, email them, go and visit them, and talk about some options about courses that you can, electives and the course that you can go ahead on to.
Perfect.
And these are some of our graduates. These are some testimonials. So this is Emmanuel. So she was actually at a centre of ours called Avid in the Ivory Coast. So she actually did 2 of our courses. So she first studied the IFD, but then went on to our level 4 diploma in business, which I mentioned graduates of the IFD can get onto. Okay, but from there she went on to go to the university, the Rochester Institute of Technology in America, where she's doing a bachelor's in international business. So she's currently there and doing really well.
Yeah, we hear she's doing really well, and she's at the moment with COVID, it's a little hard to live the life in New York, but this is a New York university, a good university.
Yeah.
It just proves that even someone who wasn't actually a native English speaker, because Ivory Coast is French, has been able to go on and go to a really good university and attain her degree.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, and this is another student of ours who graduated from Vietnam, and he went on to study in Wales. So he's studying successfully there, and this is something he said. So he's become more disciplined and responsible. Definitely important for university study. Modules are interesting, and he felt prepared to study further. So I think that's important, having that confidence with the preparation that you have, rather than worrying about the situation you're getting yourself into. And yeah, that's going to stand students in good stead to do well when they get to their chosen university. Okay. But yeah, that's all for my presentation. I hope it gave you an overview of the course. I invited questions earlier, so I will stop sharing this PowerPoint and see if any came up.
I can't see on my side.
So comments. So
okay. Comments.
So we have a comment from Adesayan. So NCA International Diploma in Computer Studies, which universities in Canada or USA can I apply to? So Oh, this has already been responded to. So we do have progression. Of course, yes, we do have progression routes to Canada and USA. Some of the universities we've highlighted, such as Rochester Institute of Technology, and we have other universities there as well. And it's all in our progression handbook. And I've seen our team has posted a link where you can access this document, and you can look at which universities you can apply to there. Okay.
Just below your comment there.
Yes. So, Catherine, so you mentioned Monash in Australia. Do they accept the NCC course? So I have known, yes, some of our centres in Asia. Monash is a popular university, and many do apply there. Yes, and they do get onto courses there as well.
Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Okay. Well, then I think, James,
everything.
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much for your time. So James is our senior academic manager. He runs the whole of the academics of UK at the moment. I mean, of NCC at the moment, with all the drama going on with COVID and students having to write exams at home and all sorts of stuff. He's a really busy guy. I see we have another question here. What student support is available, James? Maybe we can just answer that before we end.
Okay, well, in terms of student support, this is offered through the centre a lot of the time. So, of course, they're going to be having face-to-face classes. While the pandemic has been going on, of course, we've run into a few issues with that because of regulatory requirements, government requirements. Centres have had to close, but they have persisted and they have tried their best to get classes to be up and running online, and many have succeeded in doing so. And we've been able to publish results for students from our summer cycle, and we are heading into autumn now. Many centres are opening up, so thankfully it's safe and reasonable to sit exams and assessments in our autumn cycle. But for those that haven't, we're looking into ways that they can still take assessments online. So it's business as normal. But in terms of student support, yes, if students are not doing well or they feel that they are struggling with the course in any way, then they're encouraged to go to their centres. And when I visit them and talk to the students, they are all very glowing in their praise of the support they receive from their lecturers. And if they have any difficulties with any subjects, then they've been quite glowing in saying that I received extra classes, extra support. In the university application, of course, this is critical for the centre as well, and they do their best to help them with that process. And they have sometimes they have specific responsible departments who help the students through that, choosing which universities would be best for them, choosing which courses would be most suitable, and then helping them apply to those for those courses, whether that be through the international office, as I mentioned, or through the UCAS.
I think it's also important, James, to note that, NCC has quite a stringent way of bringing accredited partner centres on board. So centres have to go through a whole process to be accredited, and part of that is evaluating their ability to support students. So I think that's also important to mention. Mm-hmm. I see there's another question here. Can I complete this program online?
So that is something that we are looking at right now. Yes. So you should be able to most commonly they would complete it in a centre face to face with lecturers. But yes, we are moving towards a place where you should be able to complete this course online and take assessment at a venue. But you would be able to complete assignments, of course, remotely.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the whole COVID thing has changed how everything is actually done. So it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, any last questions before we let James go off and do his academic stuff? Oh, where is the course recognized?
Okay, so in terms of recognition, if that's to do with in terms of regulatory recognition, then it is regulated by Ofqual, which is a UK government body, and they are responsible for all assessments and qualifications in the UK. And we have to adhere to very strict rules on how the course is run and how assessments are delivered and marked, etc. So that helps a lot with universities if they see that we have that stamp and that is displayed on a student certificate. That carries a lot of weight, and that helps that has probably been a successful factor in us getting so many progression arrangements with universities, because they know the lengths that we have to go to keep that regulation.
And our standard of the quality, yes, definitely. And then I see another question. We have actually covered it. Can we gain progression to university that's not listed in the NCC progressions? And I know you have already replied on that, and you have confirmed that it is possible with discussion with the university. And
yes. So one example I can think of, so we have a centre where a lot of the students progress onto Lancaster University. So we don't have a specific progression arrangement with that university, but a lot of students have gone there. Just as I said, having that conversation with the university early on and telling them which courses they're interested in, and then it is up to the university to make that offer.
Perfect. I see someone's asking how many centres do we have?
I
was trying to count this morning, and I got myself so confused about who credited and who wasn't.
I can't say I know a specific number, but I can tell you probably where. So we have centres all around the world who offer it. So UK, Uzbekistan, China, Vietnam, Mongolia, Myanmar now, Bangladesh.
And in Africa, we've got 3 very active partners and about 8 partners in general. So I only know for Africa.
So yes, there's. I'm sorry I can't give you a specific number, but yeah, a lot of places. And, you will be able to find out a lot more information on which centres are close to you by visiting that link that I showed earlier. On if you just type into Google NCC Education, find your nearest centre, it should come up with a link, and you can find all the details there.
And we've got one here. What are some of the top universities I can apply for? I certainly know of York, Swinburne, and there's a bunch of them.
So yes, so just recently, I've been in touch with some centres, and they've had offers to York University in the UK, University of Leeds, which is extremely high ranking, in Australia and New Zealand. So University of Auckland, they can apply to. So these are extremely good and high-ranking universities. We have Aston University in the UK, which is a very, very good business school. But you know, the requirements of those universities are obviously going to be higher, but it is definitely possible. They're going to ask for high scores, but if you achieve them, then you deserve to gain entry to that university, and graduates have got there.
Definitely, definitely. And then a final question here: how many countries do we operate in?
Numbers, am I? We've got over countries. So I know we're in over 50 countries for all of our qualifications. But in terms of specifically for the IFD, I'm afraid I don't know, but it will be a lot of the same. So I'd imagine it's around 40 to 50 countries where we're offering this. Okay, in all areas. Okay, and we are getting more students, even more centres all the time.
Yeah, we certainly are. And then, can students who have completed grade 10 in American system apply for the International Foundation year?
Grade 10, so they would be 16, wouldn't they? So they only complete high school in America at 18. So I would say no to that question. They would have to complete high school to to gain entry onto the qualification, or sometimes there are systems where we have sometimes centers, they teach this over this is typically a 1-year program, but there are centers who do teach this over 2 years. So it's taught simultaneously with their national curriculum. So they're finishing secondary school and the IFD at the same time. So when they are 18, they have both qualifications and they are ready to go on to university at that point, rather than waiting another year and etc. So that's all. This is something I discuss with university, with our centres a lot, like how they can deliver it and how flexible they can be in that delivery, and this is all to the benefit of the student progressing as quickly but as responsibly as possible.
So Catherine's asking here, James, do you need to be 17 to do the program?
Okay, so I think this depends on all the qualification itself that they're coming from. So, for example, if you are coming from an O-level background, then there could be some room for maneuver there because you're taking O-levels at a younger age, and universities can accept at times if you have O-levels plus the IFD over a year, then they can get entry. But it's all about having that conversation with the university, specifically if they can accept that.
And I think also on the point of being 17, the whole point is that you need to have completed school. So for instance, I know I finished school at 17 and I went to university straight away. But if I'd done the bridging program, because I'd finished school, I could have done a bridging program. So the point is that we want, people need to finish school at some point. Can a student apply for a medical degree after the IFD? I do know we do have a progression like that, James.
We do. That's in Cyprus with the University of Nicosia.
Yes.
So that is where they can go on to study in medical discipline after the IFD. Yes.
Yes, and that's a lovely. That was a lovely partnership for us to offer that to students. Definitely.
I don't think I'd mind going there myself. Like studying in Cyprus sounds quite ideal, to be honest.
Yeah. And then Andy said, glad to have had this opportunity to get my bachelor's degree from Worcester. Thanks to NCC. I really encourage you guys to study there in order to have a quality education. Thank you very much for that, Axel. Lovely to hear from existing students on this platform. And then Catherine says, sorry, another one. No problem, Catherine. Students who have done IGCSE and now IFD, will they be able to gain entry to a university straight away?
Yeah, that's absolutely possible. So I know universities such as Manchester Metropolitan, who we've had conversations with and have accepted that as an entry requirement. Yes. So if they're going with an IGCSE and then the IFD, then they can go to university.
Perfect. Great. Okay. 30 seconds and then we can end off. And thank you everyone for contributing. It's our first time doing a Facebook event like this, so it's nice to see contributions. Last one here, squeaking in 30 seconds. Are there guaranteed admissions? There certainly are.
Yes. So this you'll find this in the I forget the name now. The brochure, the What Next booklet with all our progression arrangements. So some of these are guaranteed. So for example, at the University of Bangor and Derby, we have guaranteed entry. So if you meet their entry requirements, then you can go to that university without question.
Yeah, there's actually quite a few there now, I see, James. So it's a nice option for students.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, you should remember you don't have to just stick to. I would never say stick to one application. On UCAS, you can select 3 universities to apply to, and typically they will have their dream university at the top where the entry requirements are higher. They will have a one slightly lower and one kind of fail-safe, but you can apply to as many as you wish. You don't have to stick to one where it's guaranteed.
Absolutely. Great. All right, James, thank you very much for your time. Everyone, thank you very much for watching and contributing, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.